Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm pretty sure we're live. We're having some technical difficulties tonight, and Facebook just has got a mind of its own. And I'm going to check to make sure that we're actually live before I start talking because I've got some really awesome stuff I want to show you guys tonight. And it's showing I'm live, but yeah, okay, we're good. So I have some really awesome stuff I want to show you guys tonight that's going to require me to screen share so that you can see. I'm going to actually show you some test results and show you guys the goods on how to understand your sodium levels and also why you might be bloating so bad. Okay, so I'm hoping that this technology cooperates. We needed to kind of switch platforms, and I'm hoping that it's going to let me screen share. Yeah, I think it's going to work. So fingers crossed. If it doesn't, I'm gonna just hang up and start over and we'll figure it out. But anyways, guys, let's dive in. We're gonna talk about sodium levels and your bloating tonight. And here's the really interesting thing about bloating. When I'm working with people who are trying to fix their gut, the number one thing that I find people often blame their bloating on is food. Who here feels like it's the food? And I get it. I mean, you eat, you bloat. You eat, like you can't poop. You eat, you get diarrhea. It's just like it feels so connected to food. Except, who here has noticed though that they can't figure out what food it is? Like they can't pinpoint the food because you eat something one day and you feel totally fine. And you eat it the next day and feel like you're 9 months pregnant. I mean, it's a classic example as to why it's not actually the food, because if it were, you would get consistent results, right? Even when you find your body might be very well not liking a specific food, is it the food itself, or is it that your body is struggling to break down that food? Or is it maybe that you have bad bacteria that are reacting to that food? So bloating is never just one dimensional. It's never just because you ate a food and your body reacted. Okay, it's really important that you guys understand this. Otherwise, you're going to be super frustrated. You're going to feel like you've tried everything and nothing's worked. And eventually, what'll happen is you eliminate so many foods that you run out of food to eat. And that just sucks. All right, Annette's saying me, and Eve is saying super interesting. So here's the thing. What I wanted to chat with you guys about are, specifically sodium levels, but I'm going to show you where you can, like, how you can get this tested and what this actually looks like. And I've used 2 different labs to give you guys an example of different scenarios that you might be running into. Before we really jump into that, though, I want to just take a couple of minutes and sort of explain, like, why do your sodium levels matter? I think even over the last, I would say probably decade, there was a lot of fear mongering going around, specifically around sodium, like, oh, salt's bad for you. You don't want to have too much salt. You need salt. You need salt if you plan on being healthy. If you plan on having healthy poops, you, my friend, are going to need salt in your diet, okay? Yes, there are going to be exceptions to that rule, but 90% of the time, people need to have sodium in their diet, okay? And I'm going to show you the examples of when you should and when you shouldn't tonight. But first, sodium. Why the heck does it matter? Well, first of all, sodium is one of the main minerals that helps you to balance fluids in your body. Okay, so fluids are really important when we think about diarrhea and constipation. So in cases of constipation, if your body is dried up like the Sahara Desert, you're not going to poop. Maybe if you have diarrhea, you were just pooping out all your fluids. The big thing that you guys need to remember, it's not just about how much water you're drinking, it's what you're actually absorbing. And so for the people here who are watching this who find that every time you every time you drink water, you just pee it right out, then I want you to keep watching this because there's going to be some really interesting information for you. Okay, the other thing about sodium is that it influences your stomach acid levels. And many of you guys who are watching this are struggling with your stomach acid levels. Whether your doctor has assumed that you have too much acid without actually testing, I might add, or if you've actually been tested and realized that you're one of the majority of people who actually have too little stomach acid, or you suspect you have too little stomach acid, It's not just about supplementation or making sure that your acid production is in check. It's about understanding what is making sure your body is producing acid properly. And sodium has a lot to do with that. The last thing we need to look at is it influences your cell permeability. So think about like leaky gut and getting tiny holes in your gut lining. Think about that for your cells. So this is problematic. If your sodium levels are out of balance, you're going to experience symptoms. And so the first thing I think might be helpful is let's take a look at the types of deficiencies or symptoms that can come from deficiencies. Please, guys, do not diagnose yourself off of this video. I'm not diagnosing you guys. You need to be tested. So do yourself a favor, please stop guessing. You're going to need to be tested, okay? And that's something that we show you how to do inside the Love and Trust Your Guts program. So if you're struggling with deficiencies, you might be experiencing allergies. So if you're someone who's struggling with actual food allergies or even like seasonal allergies, even histamine reactions, we might be needing to look at sodium levels. Depression, fatigue, dizziness, even low blood pressure, low stomach acid, bloating, weakness, and even for the individuals who find when you work out, you don't tolerate that workout very well, you feel weak afterwards, you might want to be looking at your sodium levels. Now, let's look at some markers for if you have maybe too much sodium happening in the body. Bloating, edema, swelling, that's also still totally within the wheelhouse of having too much sodium. Headaches, super common, also common if you don't have enough. So this is why you need to test, because there's a lot of symptoms that can be similar for both. Irritability, this one I find so fascinating. Women, I'm looking at you. Here's what's really interesting. A week before your period, your copper levels will increase. And when copper increases, this increases your sodium levels. And it does a bunch of other wacky things too that will affect your bowels. But when you think about it, if your sodium levels go up, and then when you drink water, you're retaining all of that water. Think of salt attracts water. You're going to get bloated. You're going to find that your bloating is even worse. And we've also seen that elevated levels of sodium, relatively speaking, sodium's higher than potassium. You're going to find all sorts of anxiety, irritability, and they've even found that like high risk offenders typically have high sodium levels. They find that women specifically are most likely to commit a crime that week before their period. So we, this whole time, ladies, have been told that we are hormonal. We're not hormonal. Our minerals are just jacked. And so your sodium levels can be making you feel a little bit wonky, okay? Like nervousness, anxiousness, anger, irritability. It's like when you want to like bite your husband's head off that week before. That's part of what could be going on. So that's why we want to take a look at this testing. So I want to give you guys some examples. Let me just pop over here. I'm gonna hit the screen share button. Please, for the love of God, work. Okie dokie. Are you gonna work for us? I think you're going to. Okay, so don't mind the crazy desktop here. I'm gonna just enlarge these so you can see these a little bit better. Okay, so guys, here's the thing. Everyone always asks me, how do you get your minerals tested? You need to get your minerals tested through hair mineral analysis. Your doctor's not going to do this. He probably won't even know what it is. It's just not inside his toolbox, okay? Now, here's the thing with hair mineral analysis is that we tend to get a better glimpse at where your minerals are at compared to blood. So your blood levels are not going to test all these minerals. You can find doctors testing sodium, especially if you have raging diarrhea or in some cases constipation. I've seen doctors do this, but if you've ever been hospitalized, they usually will check your sodium levels. Here's the problem with that, is that sodium lives in the cell. Okay, and your hair is just dead cells. And so it's why it's such an effective place to test your sodium levels. And so when they're testing through blood, you're really not getting a super duper accurate read on where your sodium levels are actually at. Okay, so for today's purposes, I'm gonna just show you. It's gonna let me, is there a pointer or something here? Let's see this thing. Let's try this. What does this do? Oh, hello. Nope, okay, that's not gonna work. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Just look at this column here that I'm kind of highlighting on the left. This is your sodium column, Okay, so on this particular person's hair mineral analysis, their sodium levels were off the freaking charts. Now, this individual came to me with a severe case of SIBO. They have hormone imbalances, but the bloating was like next level. Now, most people in this individual's life didn't really understand why they were complaining about bloating. Okay, because what was happening is their spouse would look at them and be like, "You look skinny to me." But to that individual, that bloating was significant. Okay, it was painful. It did make their stomach stick out, but because they were a smaller frame, people were looking at them and they're like, "Well, I wish I was your size." And so they were demeaning and dismissing the symptom of severe bloating that this person was getting. So if that's you, I want to make sure you know that I see you and you're not crazy. It makes total sense why you're bloating, okay? So obviously when this person had their sodium levels tested, we were like, aha, this makes so much sense for you. Now this individual, they were drinking tons of water, but they could actually hear the water like sloshing around in their stomach. And what was happening is their sodium levels were so high, they were getting sodium, like water retention was happening. Like they were just absolutely holding in all the water, and that was part of where the bloat was. Now, part of that other piece of the bloating was also overgrowth of SIBO. That person had candida, parasites as well, and low stomach acid. So there's a lot of stuff going on. But this right here made so much sense. So your sodium level, guys, should be at 25. She's at 137. That is jacked. So this person was also super irritable. All right, especially during her time of the month. Super irritable. Okay. Now, on the flip side, let me give you another example. This example here, again, I'm trying to highlight this column. Sodium. On the right-hand side, over here, follow my cursor. This individual was 82 years old. He also had a severe case of SIBO when he came to see me, and his sodium levels came back at 6. Not to mention this person is depleted in just about everything, but again, his sodium level should be at 25. So he was also really struggling with bloating, but apathy, depression, anxiety, just really sluggish, constantly constipated, actually, constantly constipated. He just could not poop because his body was so dehydrated. All right. It was, again, I always say this, like dry like the Sahara Desert. He was chronically dehydrated. This made so much sense when we took a look at this. So guys, when you're working with bloating, it's really important that you collect the data from your body. Otherwise, you're just guessing. So if you have eliminated all these foods, I'm gonna stop screen sharing so you can see me here. If you have eliminated all of these foods, okay, and if you have, there we go. If you've eliminated all these foods, if you have gone out and bought all these random supplements from the health food store, like you're going into the health food store, well intended, I did this too, and you go and talk to this individual who works at the health food store, who knows nothing about your health history, who might not even be an actual practitioner, could be just, you know, someone who enjoys the topic of health. And you go and you ask them, what should you take based on your symptoms? Like you're saying, I'm really bloated, what should I take? And they're recommending a supplement off the shelf. That is like throwing pasta to the wall and hoping it sticks. And I'm saying this and I'm holding you guys to a little bit of a higher standard here because you guys have been through the ringer, because you've spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on guesswork. And many of you guys have gotten to a place where you're feeling absolutely hopeless. And I don't want you to feel that way anymore. And the only way to actually get control over the situation is to get the proper testing done, collect the data from your body so you know what the hell is going on, right? How do you know what you need to fix if you don't know what's causing it? So we've had, you know, people come into the program who would assume, oh, I think I have too much sodium because I'm super, super bloated. But again, remember, there's going to be many causative factors. So don't guess. You need to really be tested, okay? I know I'm going to get this question a million times. We teach you guys how to get testing inside the Love and Trust Your Guts program for minerals, okay? You really need to have a trained practitioner who understands how to read hair mineral analysis, because it's not as simple as just looking at your levels and be like, oh, they appear to be in the reference range, I think I'm good. Your minerals work together in like a buddy system. When one goes up, it forces the other down. And so we need to look at those relationships and how they interconnect. So save your money. Don't go buy this test until you have a trained practitioner who understands how to read them, interpret them. Okay? So guys, if you are absolutely sick of trying to guess your way through this and you want to actually get concrete testing to understand what is causing your symptoms, then I'm going to suggest that we jump on the phone together. Okay? Now, we only chat with people who are ready to get the help that they need. Okay? I'm saying this right now because I've talked to a lot of people who are wanting to feel better, but they're not ready to do the work that it takes. And that's okay. That's okay if you're not quite ready. All right. But if you're the person that's watching this and you're like, I'm done, Alyssa. I'm absolutely sick of having to guess my way through this. I'm sick of wasting my money on random supplements. I'm sick of going to see practitioners who aren't even testing me, who are recommending random supplements without knowing what's going on inside my body. If you're the person who's like, I want the data from my body and a plan put in place for it based on that, then I'm going to encourage you to apply for a call with us. Okay, they're completely free. We don't mess around. You guys can't come to my home office and meet our team in person, so we do these by phone. Okay, it's like going to your practitioner in your local hometown and saying, hey, here's my situation. Can you help me? Tell me a bit about yourself. We just do it by phone. Okay, so if you're serious about getting help, I'm going to drop the link inside the comments here. You can book a call with one of our team members, one of our specialists, and what we do on that phone call, it's a full hour. It is thorough and it is in depth. So we're going to go through all of your health history. We're going to talk through all the symptoms you're struggling with, and we're also going to try and figure out what might be missing that's holding you back. And if it makes sense for us to work together, okay? There's no obligation, but we can't understand what's going on in your individual body until we talk to you, okay? So that's why we do these calls by phone. So if you're serious about getting some help, and you're tired of the guesswork, and you don't want to waste any more money on supplements you don't even know if you need, then jump onto our calendar there. We only have a couple of spots left. And so you can jump on, book a call, and then reach out to us if you've got any questions you're unsure about anything. Okay, guys, I hope this has been super helpful. Know that sodium levels are absolutely a piece of the puzzle when it comes to bloating, and just how food isn't the sole cause of bloating, sodium levels are not the sole cause of bloating. Remember, we've got bacteria, we've got enzymes, we've got minerals, we've got hormones, we've got all kinds of contributing factors. And so let's look at the full picture and not just hanging on to these single pieces of the puzzle. We're going to collect all the pieces of the puzzle, and that's what's going to make the difference. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week.